If the Jesus of the Bible were present among us today, in the flesh, wandering and ministering, what would he be saying and doing? This is the question our scripture poses to us today. Jesus had been going around visiting, healing, and cultivating relationship. His fame and popularity had begun to increase quite substantially, and it was becoming overwhelming to him. So he appointed his disciples, those he had been training for months, to go out in his stead to do the same. According to Matthew's gospel, he said, "Go to the lost, confused people right here in the neighborhood. Tell them that the kingdom is here. Bring health to the sick, raise the dead, touch the untouchables, kick out the demons." These are pretty lofty order. You have been treated generously, so live generously. That was a good news message in Jesus' day, and it is a good news message for us today. So go to the people of God, Jesus says. Go to the people of God, our neighbors, across the world, and live generously together. Do you notice that Jesus is not telling his apostles to spread a doctrinal statement? He's not asking them to toe a line, to affirm a particular creed, to assent to a royal decree. Jesus is instructing his disciples to go and live generously among the people of God. Jesus' message is not about dogma or doctrine, about systems and governance. Jesus' message is about relationship. This is the very thing that made Jesus' good news so enduring over the centuries. The message that Jesus passed on to his apostles, who through the years have passed on to us. It's all about healthy relationship. Relationship with white neighbors and black neighbors, indigenous neighbors and settler neighbors. The message of Jesus that we proclaim today knows no race or custom. It simply calls us to live generously with each other. And this is a creed we can affirm, we can embody in all our living. Jesus' message became distorted when we try to restrict it. It becomes distorted when we try to restrict it, when we try to institutionalize it, when we try to say that love and generous living is something that can only happen within these confines. As I remember the Spirit sightings in my life this past week, one that clearly stands out to me is the rallying together of people to work for justice. People of all races across the globe have rallied in solidarity with people of color, demanding change for systems of oppression. Generous living invites us to find kinship with those who struggle for justice. We have, but we may not hoard. Generous living reminds us that there is abundance in this world for all and for each. Whenever I see justice movements gathering steam, I think of two quotes that always bring me hope. The first is from Martin Luther King Jr. He said, "The moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice." Yes, it's very long, I'm sure, to people who are marginalized. But my faith in God tells me that we will get there as a people. Because I believe in this second quote, this verse of scripture from Luke's gospel. As Jesus is entering Jerusalem and crowds have gathered around him to welcome him as one who might save the people, to bring that generous living to all, the Pharisees ask Jesus to silence the crowds. And this is how he responds. He says, "If these people were silent, even the stones would cry out." Don't you love that image? The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Because even if we remain silent, the stones would cry out. Our privilege, our generous living, it disrupts our ability to hoard and be fearful. Of course, there is all kinds of opposition to the work of dismantling white supremacy. It is a system that is held together by fear, mistrust, and most importantly, feelings of scarcity. And where some people may gain by holding this evil system together, we know that we have been blessed. And the only way to remain blessed is to bless others. A gift that gives on giving, as it were. This is generous living, sharing our blessing with others. Because it's not a finite resource, it just is. It's a gift, and we must share it. One of the things I most value about our Moravian spirituality is its emphasis on relationship. People describe us as being relational in theology, relational in polity, and that means our church is organized around people. Where some churches and spiritualities focus on developing a beautiful theology or a robust hierarchy, we have long focused on developing our relationships. And this can, of course, be a tricky thing. When some relationships are more valued than others, the church can become a personality cult. And of course, when some loud voices complain about others or are louder than others, naturally, people are bound to be hurt. But I know that it is possible to have a relational emphasis and to be healthy about it, to value each individual and their contributions to our shared whole, our shared mission. This is the essence of our spirituality, the relationship that we share. And as I think about that relationship, I think about St. Paul and his contribution to the discussion. You may say this along as you know it. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, for love never ends. Love and generosity feel to me to be related concepts, related feelings. As we watch the news and feel fear or scarcity, as we think about how we can best embody the love of Christ in our time, as we think about how we can be human in times of challenge and change, we should reconsider that generosity of Jesus in patience, kindness, compassion, and empathy. So maybe you're thinking about joining a rally. Be generous. Maybe you're feeling frustrated and about to lose your temper. Be patient. Maybe you're witnessing a difficult encounter out in public. Someone isn't physically distancing properly. Someone else has just lost their patience. Be compassionate. We have many opportunities throughout each day to share that generous spirit. I invite you to do so because that is how the love of God spreads. Amen.